wanted to ask you firstly about the show. It seems quite confusing in that we don't know what's real, what's not real, what's on the side of things, what he knows, what he doesn't know. And I've read that that is something that you felt whilst making it. So how was that for you? Because I also understand that you didn't necessarily know the way it was going to end while you were filming it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's and that's actually very common when making a television show, that the fact that we had half of a season available to us is very rare, certainly compared to my experience on something like 24 or Designated Survivor. But we had discussions, and we have a rough idea in which the story is going to go. But I think the writers, for creative reasons, have to give themselves room to kind of adapt to certain things that if a scene starts to really work in this one direction, they want to be able to follow the trail down that road. So that's not actually unnormal. But I really loved the idea that we wanted to make a classic thriller, and we kind of harkened back to films like 3 Days of the Condor, Marathon Man, All the President's Men, The Parallax View, all these films from the 70s that I grew up kind of watching and dreaming one day, if I was going to be able to work as an actor, these are the kinds of movies I would want to make. Yeah. But we've adjusted it on some level because we wanted to make it current, and so we kind of really focused on the technological revolution that we're in the middle of, and my character John Weir is very well equipped to manipulate technology to his advantage, and then halfway through an operation, he's involved in the world of high finance espionage, and in the middle of an operation, things go terribly wrong, and he literally goes from being the hunter to the hunted, and we watch him try and figure out who's behind this and why, and he's also trying to save his life. So there's a lot of deception involved, and I think one of the nice kind of moments for the audience is it requires they become involved, and they have to make decisions on whether or not they think someone is in fact being honest, if someone is telling the truth, and that will dictate kind of how they watch the show.
Because obviously, espionage and all of this is very intense environment, and to play to that kind of topic is very intense. And then you look at something like you did 24, where you're again in a very tense situation. It's 24 hours, and that's what you're portraying. So how did the two kind of compare to each other?
Well, Jack Bauer was a character who was kind of quite single-minded. It was a really physical character and an aggressive character. If I were to kind of, in the most simple way, if I was to explain the difference between Jack Bauer and John Weir, Jack Bauer would run into a fight, and John Weir tries to run away from them, and he's not very good at it. In fact, he loses most of the fights that he's in. What I love about the genre of the thriller is it takes its lead character and it puts it in a position, he or she, in a scenario where they're facing insurmountable odds, and yet they still go forward. They find the better person of themselves to take on whatever conflict they're introduced to. So I've just always appreciated those characters, and they've always been very interesting to me. But the similarity for John Weir versus Jack Bauer kind of ends there. I think in 8 seasons of 24, I maybe smiled once, and that was when I killed Nina Myers. Whereas John Weir has a very good sense of humor, and he has a firm grasp of sarcasm, and John and Glenn write humor so beautifully. One of my favorite scripts of the last 20 years was Bad Santa, and so they've woven in, I think, a kind of beautiful sense of humor between my character and Maida Golding's character. Yeah, so that was a real bonus. That was something I really enjoyed doing.
Love it. I've got to ask you about the fact that you're coming to the UK in the summer to play Latitude and Kendall. I mean, can we expect a surprise announcement that you're going to be at Glastonbury?
No, I think our tour is pretty mapped out. So along with those festivals, we start in the Czech Republic, and we just start making our way west until till we hit the island, and then and yeah, so our booking's kind of what it is for now. We did have the pleasure of playing Glastonbury about 5 years ago, and it was one of the things that you kind of mark down as a kind of something that you just will never forget in your life. But we're really thrilled about coming back in July, and looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, it'll be great. And, especially because we've had some delay with the pandemic cancelling, concerts and things like that. It's going to be great to have you back. Do you enjoy coming back to England? Because obviously you're part British.
Well, I do. I mean, and it's where I was born, and people have always made me feel so comfortable there. I do remember when we were shooting 24, the last season in London. It was the only time I've ever seen my director and or me really regretful that we were leaving a location that we were shooting at. So London's always felt like a second home to me. And so, yeah, and the support that we've had for the music has been just extraordinary. So I'll always be grateful for that. And again, just so disappointed. I ended up getting COVID for the last 3 shows of our last tour, and I know people were kind of frustrated over that. There was nothing I could do about it, but we'll be back in July and hopefully make up for it.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be very happy to have you back. And I'm out of time. I could talk to you for much longer. But thank you for your time. Good luck with the show. And your father's film, Don't Look Now, is one of my all-time favorite films. So
I don't disagree. It's one of my favorite films too.
I'm sure he won't care, but do tell him that from me.
Will care, and I will. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Good luck with it. Thanks for taking the time. Take care.
Thanks, Andrew. Take care, man.